Namaste everyone and welcome to this next video. I have to have a bit of a laugh because we have literally gone through all sorts of tech issues. Mercury must still be in retrograde as far as I know. And it's always fun to blame Mercury, but yeah, it was quite a trip even just to get here. So I'm excited that we made it. And it's my pleasure to welcome Sonia. I have known Sonia for quite a while. I would always run into her when I would need to buy a gift of some kind from Equilibrium because it had all these wonderful holistic spiritual things that I found really fascinating, and as it's a nice thing to give as a gift. So I would look forward to connecting with Sonia, and yeah, it's sort of come full circle in a way where I get to introduce you now as one of the members of my community of holistic practitioners group. And for anyone who's been watching, these are little videos to introduce you to our holistic practitioners. One of the reasons is because I am quite passionate about the holistic approach and a whole person approach, which is why I do these videos. So, welcome, Sonia. I would love to hear just a little bit about yourself. Please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia. So I've been a practitioner of all types of holistic modalities, really, for over 20 years. I guess my foundation started with Reiki, but doing it when I didn't even know that I was doing it. And that's kind of been my journey. I've kind of downloaded various processes of healing techniques, and then suddenly had a conversation with someone or read something in a book or noticed something more recently online and gone, or gone to even like a class or a workshop, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing. So it's something that is really innate in me, the ability to facilitate a healing process for people. But it's done with a lot of, so the way that I work, it's kind of a combination of guided meditation. So all of my sessions with you will involve a little bit of guided meditation. Energy automatically happens. I am a Reiki master, I'm a master NLP life coach. I've a light worker. I've done a lot, psychosomatic holistic counseling. But really, at the end of the day, your body and your being has all the information that we need to get the results for you. And so I guess I get a lot of clients who have anxiety. I help people with addiction, quit smoking, weight problems. Really, it's got to do with the relationship that is going on inside of you. And please, I always encourage, use your own filter. So it's important to have your own mind. And if something resonates with you, take it. If it doesn't, filter it out. Be your own person. So I help people to reconnect to what's inside them that guides them and keeps them in the place of happiness and health and well-being. It's really hard to just say, this is what I do. I really truly am, I guess, the definition of holistic well-being, because I can help a person who's got physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, psychological pain. And the way that I do that, it's a 3-part process. The first part is all about empowerment, connecting you to your inner security, your support networks in you and around you. And I use color quite a bit as well. And please, Anjali, if I'm going too far, just stop me.
No, it's all good.
So part 1 is about getting you consciously connected with what most people know as your higher self, your I am presence, your Christ consciousness. I like to refer to it as my divine self, because automatically when I say divine, I go, it's here. So it's consciously in me. Sometimes you can think of it like your super self, the goddess self, advanced executive self, and it really is a part of you that is your all-empowered self. It's the you that is without judgment. And when we connect to that, then we are able to see things from a different perspective, not take things personally. And it means that you're never a victim. You will never attract those situations where you are a victim. And even if you do find yourself in those situations, very quickly you will be able to look at it from all the different angles, kind of like the elephant, and seeing it from all the different angles. So you see the bigger picture and the detail. And it's about connecting to the support networks that are beneath our feet inside the earth, the tangible support networks, connection to people, connection to places, locations, whatever is needed, and connection to what's invisible. So not just the oxygen, but the subtle body, the subtle energies, the energies that are above and around us. And yes, we do go spiritual, connecting to the angelic, to the celestial, the ascended masters, that in you. My birthday is 2211 to master numbers, and my name means wisdom. So this isn't something that I went, oh, I want to learn that. It was in me. I was born into this. I guess I did. I consciously chose this. And so and my life number is 9. So I help people when they're going through change, because 9 is all about change. And a lot of people are going through change now. So when we consciously can connect to those support networks, and I think I'm going to do a little exercise with you to help you to connect to that part of you that is your all-empowered self. And it's a very simple process. So that's kind of a bit of part 1. There's a lot more to part 1. Lots of elements. And then part 2 is it's a regression. So you reconnect to whatever part of you is on perpetual replay. And it's the part of you that has created a protector. Because when we have anxiety, when we feel stuck, when we have restriction and inflammation in the body, that's messages. And by revisiting the origin of that, you can free that part of you, that we give that part of you an opportunity to speak, if it's willing to, if it's needing to. Sometimes that part of you has no voice and there is nothing to speak, but it just needs to be re-acknowledged or acknowledged and seen and loved. It's really about mending that loving relationship within self. Everything for me is about relationship, the relationship that we have within our body, within our organs, within our body and our soul, and to spirit. And that relationship that we have going on inside of us, inside self to self, is mirrored from the people who you interact with in your day-to-day life. So part 2 is that regression, that reconnection, and that freeing. The freeing happens in part 3. And it's a transformation process. It's a disconnect and a transformation. And it doesn't mean that you are cutting yourself off from that part of yourself forever. It means you're freeing that from being trapped inside you. You can still connect to it. And there are various little parts to that as well. The result is freedom. It is when you first walk in to the space with me, we set an intention. You set an intention of what you would like to get out of the session. And so by the end of the session, and that's not all done in one session, this 3-part process happens in about 2 or 3 sessions. Wow, I'm pretty nervous.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Just wanted to reflect a few things back to you because there's quite a lot of resonance there as well in terms of the ways we work. But the first thing that you said about how you've come into this work it's really fascinating, because I've always said that for me the training came afterwards. Like I was doing the thing first, and then I went and I did the training, and then the training told me why I was doing that thing, which I was already doing intuitively. And I mean, I don't use that word download. I mean, it's hard to describe it because it's coming through us, not from us, right? Like that's my sense, is that there is, it's almost like it's an ancestral wisdom that is coming through, or whether it's past life wisdom that is coming through, or maybe a combination of those. And so there is that sense of organic, natural process, which, as I said, that really resonates with me as well, because I'm often supporting my clients to tap into that impulse, that natural impulse that is within each of us, that takes us towards what is healing and life affirming rather than life negating, right? So there was that piece that really sort of stood out to me. And I think most of us who are on a, let's call it a dharmic path, you know, our dharma, our soul purpose, right? It's what we came here to do. Most of us would have those kinds of synchronicities where things line up. But it was just really interesting because I've always shared that as you know, one of the fascinating things that I've found in my own journey. So it's so wonderful to hear someone else who's had a similar process. And the other piece that was really kind of standing out again is, I mean, you said 3-part, and I know you haven't sort of gone, because it's quite deep and it's quite um, complex but simple at the same time, right? Is there's that paradox of going deep and doing deep work, which maybe is, you know, sort of passing through lots of layers, but there's a simplicity in terms of, like, for me, it reminds me of the way that I work is, intuition, heart, and gut. It's like getting our instinct back online, getting our intuition back online, and getting our heart intelligence back online. All three of these, for me as well, is about that inner guidance system. I call it
Mm.
our internal guidance system, is sort of bringing that back online. Or you could say your inner guru, or your higher self, or your spirit, or your soul. I mean, language, I think we get into the realms beyond language, where words are really limited, um, in being able to describe that experience, which is probably why I'm a creative arts therapist and a dance therapist, and I use symbol and image a lot, which it sounds like you use as well, where you're using these symbols and these images that help your clients to connect all those levels of our experience, right? Our physical, our emotional, our psychological and mental, and our spiritual and our energetic. So it sounds really comprehensive. And I'm wondering whether maybe we can go through a little bit about what you're currently offering. I know you mentioned you work with people in the midst of change, as well as people with addictions and so on and so forth. So I'm assuming you're working one-on-one, um,
Yeah.
as and do you do group work as well? And then maybe we can do a brief experiential, so people get a taste of the flavor of your guided work.
Yeah, I tend to I guess, I mean, I can work with all ages, as I'm sure we all can, um, all walks of life. I find that I attract people at a time where they have started to realize that the life that they thought they were going to have isn't really, well, it's been taken away from them. And I help them to find the bigger picture, to see the silver lining of that. I'm very good at reframing, at helping people to see the silver lining of any situation. Um, so also people who are very sensitive, because I'm empath, and when I'm working with you, I'm one with you, and I'm feeling where you're at. And just on the you were mentioning that it's quite deep. We are always keeping it to where you can handle it. So we only go as deep as you're ready to. So there is a point where I ask, do we have permission to connect with and access information from your conscious, your subconscious, your unconscious, your superconscious? And so you are always in control. And that's why I started with introducing you to that empowered you, because that's what's guiding us. I'm not making the decisions. I'm facilitating for you. So we never go deeper than you're ready to go. We go to where you need to go. There are lots of layers to the work that I do. A lot of it is almost like psychotherapy, but then I also do counseling, mentoring, coaching, because when we go to that space where life is changing, whether it be through a relationship breakup, whether it be through change of work, sometimes it can be students who have, or even people who, adults who have reached a point where that chapter is closed And it's like you start on an empty canvas, and that can feel very uncomfortable being in that void space. So together we work to plant those seeds so that you can start to create that momentum and move into the future you. Yeah.
Mm,
This is the
yeah.
first time I've ever done an interview like this. So I'm
You're
um
doing
I'm
you're
just
doing
going.
really well. You're doing really well. Yeah, it's really great to hear about the structure and the container that you're providing for the work, because uh, I think it's a good point to highlight because um, I feel like we're living in an age of instant transformation, like instant coffee. And the thing about that is that you still have to then deal with the pieces of your life, right? Bring it and the integration piece. And so I think it's really valuable to highlight that point that when we work deeply, it is not just at the pace of the client. Like, you mentioned somatic psychology in there, and I find that just listening to the body is a wonderful way of gauging where the person is at, and for them to be able to do that themselves, but also that um, that sustainable change happens gradually and incrementally over a period of time. Like it's not an instant coffee and I swipe right, okay, it's all done now, all my levels and all my chakras and all my everything is, so I think it's a really important point to highlight that even though that when we are working deeply, it is important to do it incrementally and gently and based on where the person is at, because I don't know about you, Sonia, but you probably see people, clients coming in who have had their nervous systems blown out. They've maybe expanded too quickly, too soon, or they had a vision of their life and they did some workshop or they did some process where, because we've become so used to this sort of instant, everything is at the click of a button or the touch of our fingers, that it's really valuable to highlight that. And it sounds like the structure that you provide, and that sort of connection with higher self or super self or whatever word you want to use for it. It's that tapping into, the way I like to talk about it is that it's tapping into that place of inner knowing,
Yeah.
right? There's a place inside you that knows exactly what you need to move towards your fullest expression in this life. And it sounds like you and I have similar frameworks and ways of helping the clients to really tap into their own wisdom, that they have all the answers that they need, and that there's this wonderful broad, because this is what I find about the transpersonal approach or the psycho-spiritual approach, where you're bringing in the psychology but you're also bringing in a spiritual framework. So it's a very broad context that allows people to really expand into the fullness of who they are, versus a limited framework that is forcing someone to define themselves in limited terms. So it sounds really beautiful, and I'm wondering whether we can get a little bit of a taste of a short guided process, um, and then maybe we can end it after that, because I don't want these to go on too long. But also it'll be a lovely experience of, your particular flavor of guiding a process. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. I just want to say that I guess what you've just described is what a person has the opportunity to step into. But I feel like my work is a bit, it seems very out there and spiritual, but the result is it's more practical, where it um it gives the person the ability to walk through life, or to have their day-to-day activities with minimal stress, because they are experiencing it in a different perspective. They're experiencing it in an empowered state rather than a victim state, and owning their experiences. So, anyway, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes when we use the word spirituality, that might be the way that people understand it, but there is also a grounded spirituality pathway, which is one that I kind of resonate with. So, yeah, I think it's important to ground um, the language and the context in the everyday. Like even in the women's circle that I'm offering, actually one of the lines there is practical spirituality. Like for me, practical spirituality is if your spiritual practice is not impacting how you treat yourself, how you treat the people around you, and how you treat the planet, then I'm not sure what it is that you're doing. It has to be true spirituality is actually very practical. It changes your perception of reality and how you inhabit the world. So, yeah, again, these are great points to highlight, because I think when we do talk about spirituality or deep work or energetic work, because of the New Age movement, some of these things have been taken out of their mooring, they're not anchored in anymore.
Mm.
um, which is the whole point, I think. As we're doing these conversations as well, I'm realizing the reason why I'm doing them, because I don't really know. I just follow the impulse. For me, there is a inspiration, and I follow that inspiration. And so thank you for, these conversations are so valuable, even for us to sort of clarify certain things that are in that sort of broader spiritual domain, let's say, or wellness and well-being and spirituality. Like all these things are sort of swirling, and I think it's nice to ground them in the practical and in everyday. I mean, in my case, spirituality is a big part of post-traumatic growth, for people with post-traumatic stress disorder and complex trauma. It's really important to connect with some intelligence greater than their own, whether you call that universal intelligence, whether you call that God, whatever you call it is up to you. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you have that, right? That you have a higher self, or a sense of it, or an experience of it, and that it changes your perception of yourself in the world, who you are in the world, how you uh, do what you do in your day to day in the world, right? So, yes, thank you for that reflection, because it is very much practical, and it's not woo woo or out there. I think the
Yeah.
part of it is really about bringing these things, integrating these into our everyday. This is part of who we are. We have a physical nature, we have an emotional nature, we have our psychological nature, and then we have our spiritual nature. So yeah, thank you for grounding that even more, because it is very much about every day, and it sounds like the work that you're doing is very much about alleviating um, pain and suffering, right?
Mm.
And making life more um,
Happy.
um, happy and alive, right? That sense of aliveness is
Lighter.
what really lighter. That's right. Yeah, awesome. All right, let's do a little guided process and maybe end on that note. So obviously, if anyone is watching this while driving, don't do it. Um, but if you can take this next few minutes, it would be lovely for us all to be guided by Sonia.
Well, okay, Anjali, hang on. I've just had a bit of guidance. Rather than, and we're going to check with your guiding self. So what came to me was, rather than just doing it as a guided meditation, and it's okay if you say no, can I do this little exercise with you actually responding? I don't know technology wise either if it will.
Sure, sure. I'm here for the ride, whatever that is.
I don't know, but let's just, so it's the you that knows what's best for you. Okay. What's the first color you think of? Your power color.
Red.
Okay. And so now the red is going to be guiding you.
Okay.
Are you okay with this? Yes or no?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So first, we're going to just start with two types of breathing. So you've got your normal release breath. So nice and strong, in through your nose, hold it for a couple of seconds, and exhale like you're blowing out candles. Nice and strong. And one more. Yeah. So that's a releasing breath, but this one is more of a receiving, a replenishing breath. And with this one, we put our tongue just touching the roof of the mouth. And we inhale. So I'm just going to go through the steps first. We inhale, and when we let go of the breath, and we're letting our mouth be open just a little bit. I'm going to do it in a second. When we let go of the breath goes through the sinus, so through the third eye, because by touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth, it activates the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is where it's our master gland, and it resets the endocrine system, how the body regulates itself. So it helps to change the biochemistry. Instead of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, it produces serotonin, which is I feel good, and dopamine, I'm fulfilled, so that you go into this calm state. So just with, I'm just going to do it. So when I release the breath, it's almost like a sigh, and I'm just letting my whole body drop. Okay. Now just stay there and just think about your body now, not judging anything, just allowing and accepting whatever is. And bring your attention to the center of your body, in between your heart and your belly button. And think of a point here, like a point of light, a tiny sphere of light. And as you give it more conscious attention, you might feel something there or see this light, almost like a tiny globe. Whatever it appears is perfect for you. And as you think of it more, this is your pure life force. This is spirit in your body, and spirit has no judgment. And as you think of it more, you may find that a color comes to you. So I'm just going to, in a moment, click my fingers and say what color, and just trust the first color that pops into your head as you think of the center of your body and the center of your spine, this ball of energy. What color is it for you?
Yellow.
And now you have it. Okay. Yellow. And now that you have that color, not only is it in the center of your spine and at the front of your body, but now you're noticing tiny yellow dots all through your body, in every cell of your body. This is your spirit self, your pure life force, the you that is without judgment, pure life force. Feel it, or just think of it, or visualize, however it connects for you, is just for you. Now we're going to go on a little journey. Imagine a clear bubble just above your head, just touching the top of your head. And this clear bubble is now going to do a very direct, straight line. And I'm going to work with the chakras, but you don't need to intellectualize anything. Starting at the top, which is the 7th chakra. And we're just going to go up. 11th chakra, rising up above your head. 12th. Oh, sorry. So starting from the 7th chakra, rising up. 8, 9, 10, 11, to the 12th chakra. So this bubble, this clear bubble, is about 40 centimeters above your head. And it's connected now to the 12th chakra. And this is your higher self. The you that knows what's best for you. It's the you that views your life from above, seeing the bigger picture and the detail, seeing that when you make one decision, what it will result to. It helps you to put things in perspective and to keep you on track. But most importantly, this also has zero judgment. It's the you that is all loving, all accepting. And as you connect to this from above your head, notice, is there a color there? Yes or no?
White.
Okay. Now notice that the white is going into the bubble. And we're going to bring the bubble back down to your body. This is your super consciousness. This is your all empowerment. It's the you that helps you to step out of being a victim in life, to owning your life, becoming the master of your life. And so the white has now gone into this clear bubble. We're going to bring it back down to your physical body. So from the 12th chakra, just journeying down, 11th, 10, 9, 8th chakra just above the head, and 7th, connecting to your physical body. And now this bubble is going down your spine. It's almost like there are now multiple bubbles, and as it goes down your spine, it follows through to the front of your body, and it's joining with the yellow, anchoring into your physical body, this superconscious you. And you will know what you will call it. Whatever it is for you. But what this is it will give you courage when you need it, support when you need it. It's your own inner security. Imagine now a mirror in front of you. And in the reflection is the reflection of this you, the white. Take a moment to observe from the outside. Notice what you notice. And if you feel ready, the reflection will now step out, and you can step in and embody in another way this you. This you that has the ability to remember that everybody has their own stuff going on. And so when somebody behaves a certain way, instead of taking it personally, automatically you realize there may be something happening for them, because there's always stuff going on in everybody. behind the scenes. But this you also helps you to realize and to own and self-reflect. Someone does something that triggers you, you might be able to stop and think, why has that triggered me? Where in me do I need to be aware of that happening inside me? Somebody makes you feel hurt. Where in me am I hurting a part of me? And feel the yellow and the white now in your entire body. From the top of your head to the tip of your nose, your ears, your shoulders, all the way to the tips of your fingers and out to the tips of your toes. This is your light body, the yellow, the pure life force, together with your heavy body, the physical and the spiritual, and your superconscious. And take a deep breath, gentle, easy breath. Thinking about your fingers and bringing movement to your fingers and your feet, your toes. Being aware of that physical body together in harmony with your spirit body. This beautiful relationship. Notice now not only your organs in this team that is your human being, but also the subtle energies in you too. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That came out differently to usual, but always comes out different. Thank you.
On that note, that was very beautiful, Sonia. Thank you for that. And for anyone listening who went on that journey with us, I hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. Um, and yeah, I think if there's any last words you might like to share before we finish, I'm still sort of coming back and processing. So yeah, it was really beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I guess just to follow with that, if we can check in every day and check where is the white. For others, it will be a different color. Is it out of me? If it's out, then just invite it in. Just think of it in all the cells of your body.
Mm.
Because then you've got that conscious backup. It's a support. I see clients from SunnyBrook. I didn't mention that. I don't know whether I'm okay to mention that. And if
So
I've
that's
worked,
on North Road in Ormond for
yes,
people who
yes,
know.
SunnyBrook Health Store, and there's actually a clinic upstairs. A lot of people don't realize that there is. Yeah.
Mm. So
Yeah.
that's where you do your one-on-ones. Yeah.
And also Frankston, there's a clinic there called Embodied Being. So if there's people from the peninsula, Cranbourne, kind of out that way. But I
So
also, yeah.
we'll put all of your links along with this video. So, send me through any websites and socials or where they can book you. We'll put that in so that if anyone's interested, they can um, have a look and check you out. Anything else before we finish?
No, I don't think so. I just want to say thank you so much for doing all of this for us. Yeah, I think there's those of us who have been doing this work for decades before social media, before the internet, and you are providing a pathway for us to join the party.
Come to the light.
Online, the
No more
online
hiding in the
party.
shadows.
Yeah. And I do online as well, just to mention that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a theme so far, the chats that I've had, some of the things we chat about offline is how challenging it is for practitioners like us to put ourselves out there in this kind of oversaturated social media spaces. And we're not here to shout off the rooftops. I think most of us who have been doing this work quietly in the background, you
Mm.
know we continue to attract clients, and we still do the work. But I think it's time for us to come out into the light and to have real and raw and authentic, unpolished conversations. That's something we talked about before I hit the record button, especially in this world of, AI and filters and whatnot, and also this, the short form content. I'm so not wanting to contribute to people's attention spans being that of a goldfish. uh, you know so I much prefer, even though we probably, this has ended up a longer conversation than usual, but we will put in there that it does have a guided process for those who are curious and might like to try it out. So no, thank you. Thank you for responding. I put the word out, and it's lovely to have some people responding and wanting to just connect and have a conversation and maybe share things that we are passionate about and that we've been doing for a long time. I think it's very different when you walk your talk, and you don't need bells and whistles and strobe lights, but just to come out and have the conversation. So I really appreciate. Also, bonus for me was the guided process. I think I'll have some pieces to integrate with me moving forward with my day. So thank you for those who have lasted through this conversation and guided process. And thank you, Sonia. And look forward to sharing more of you in the group.
Thank you. Thank you. Mhm.